What's going on? Welcome on in. Today is Thursday, August 17th. Today is another trade recap video. It's a break-even day. Down $10 technically. I'm going to call it break-even. Anything under 25, I'm just going to call break-even. Just for the purposes of these videos. So we had 3 trades, technically speaking. One clean winner, and then one I think we got something to take away, some lessons to take away. What I also started doing is here on TradeZella, I'm trying to organize a better way to track things. And so there's something I want to also talk about at the end of this video in terms of my findings after going back through all like 40 something of my trades for the month and then tagging them properly. So I'll kind of go through an example of that in this video with how I'm going to review these guys. So the first one was at 9:13 a.m. This is on AMD. So it was like 45 minutes after the market opened. And let's pull it on up. So we took AMD puts for next week. I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart here and kind of show you my entry point, which makes a lot that this entry makes a lot of sense. It's pretty solid. It's pretty straightforward. But we essentially had this move down, flagging to the downside. Once we broke a low of day, I got in. That's it. Once we broke low of day, I got in. I'm going to pull up the charts on TradingView a bit better, and then you have the executions as to when I got out, and it worked out pretty good. So pretty straightforward trade, momentum like I'd look for, and we made $130 is what it was. Yeah. So here it is over on TradingView. So this was the move down that I was looking for. AMD's been one of the weaker stocks in the market as it is, which is why it was highlighted in anyway. This blue line was kind of a line in the sand that I was watching for a bigger picture breakdown on the bigger time frames. 105.40s was like a low from a couple days ago. So essentially it lined up really, really nice with some key levels. And so this break of lows was what I was looking for. And we got that. And nothing crazy, but we went from a break of that, what is that, 105.40 down to lows of 104 like 35. So it was over $1 move. That's a pretty decent move. Over 1%. If the stock moves over 1% while I'm in it and I'm not taking profits, like something's probably wrong. As in my targets are a bit off. Yeah, could it have gone for more? Would I have loved more? Yeah. But the contracts did fine. And honestly, this is still kind of fine. Like it did come back above my entry, but it may even break down for more later. Doesn't look great. It's still below VWAP. For now. The next trade, the 2 losses were on Microsoft. I allowed it to be, or I gave myself 2 shots at it because I'll explain why, but the bigger picture time frames are really looking juicy. So here are the 2 trades, 9:35 and then 10:20. If I pull up Microsoft's chart, you're gonna look at this and say, yeah, this had potential. It just, in this market, right, this environment, we're not getting a lot of these clean downside moves. It's just, we're not getting them. And the momentum to the downside has been pretty shitty. And I have data to back it up too. Despite us trending down, there hasn't been high momentum to the downside. So what am I like looking for here? Why is this even an area of interest? Well, if we were to look back to the left, we have a gap to fill on the daily chart back here on Microsoft. And this gap, essentially, we are like in the gap, the top of the gap. And it goes down to about like 315, 316. Call it 316, okay? You go to the 4-hour, go to the 1 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour chart because we can zoom in a bit better. When you go to the 1 hour chart, we are at lows. We have been kind of gliding to the downside and now kind of consolidating and holding a level, which was around 319.20 or so, as our support, as our low area. And so I'm like, okay, we are in the gap. We are breaking below yesterday after hours lows, and then this is last Friday's lows. After a nice consolidation, this would be a time for potential momentum. But guess what? It's not. We also have the gap to fill the downside. We've been trending down for weeks. When we break lows, right, this is a spot to look for in momentum. Now, the environment, we're not getting the momentum, and it is what it is. There's no way to know for sure. There's no way to be sure. There's physically no way. So I would much prefer to be there, give it a shot when the setup is there and take the shot and then have stops in place and keep them small and keep the losses small versus try to say, well, you know what? It's been choppy, so I'm not going to trade. Well, what if that day it's not choppy? And what if that day is momentum out the ass and now you have a massive move? Then you missed out because you thought it was choppy. So all things considered, I'm looking at the S&P. SPY, very similar look. SPY actually at the time was breaking down below its levels of support. Look at SPY, same thing. 1 hour chart. Like, look at this. This is low of the day yesterday. SPY's breaking down below lows. I'm looking at those wicks right there. I'm looking for SPY to essentially help us out here. We're in alignment with SPY. We're in alignment with Microsoft's chart. Things are making sense. The big picture looks pretty good. It makes sense. So we take the trade. And then let's go back to it. I'll show you the first attempt and then the second attempt and how this kind of played out. So the first attempt was earlier, and then the second attempt I think just finished like a few minutes ago. So first attempt was me playing this. Essentially, we had this push down. Let me get rid of this gap to fill box. This white box is just like, it's in the way. So we had this push down. We had this spike off the open, sold off, came down, established a low of the day right here, bounced up, pretty much rejected at the VWAP. Then it came back down. Double bottom low right here. So when I saw this, it's also under these wicks. Technically speaking, it wasn't low of day, but I entered it on this right here. Maybe it was a bit early. Maybe it wasn't perfect. But based on what I saw, this double bottom low, I was like, I'm going to play that break. I got in, was slightly green, held the low of the day, bounced up, took the loss. At that point, right, maybe I could have taken a smaller loss, but it is what it is. I still kept the loss fairly small. And all in all, right, compared to AMD, essentially having 2 losses for 1 winner, my risk management's fine. The problem is the win rate, not the risk management. Okay, then I'm going to shift this over to a 30-minute chart so it's easier to see. What do you got? I have now established the line at low of day, but prior to this, you drew this line in and you had like what looked like a really nice bear flag, right? Move down, consolidate, stay in kind of tight to this 30-minute, general range, right? And then eventually we broke that. Like it broke to the downside. This little wick right here, it broke. Just so happened that it broke and then immediately snapped back up and bounced. So again, the idea, right, in look at these candlesticks, right? I could kind of sense it from looking at price action that this wasn't going to be a high momentum move once this thing kind of snapped back up. But I respected my stop. Once it got back up towards the VWAP, I stopped out and took the loss. So it is what it is, but it's just showing you that like we are not getting that momentum, that flush, that panic sell, you know what I mean, in this market right now. It's just not happening. So whether you like it or not, whether you want to bring that over to the longer picture, bigger picture views, I don't know. But it's not there. Apple was a better downside play today, but Apple moved really, really fast, and I didn't get a clean look on it. So it is what it is. But what I'm going to go ahead and do now is inside of TradeZilla, which there's a link down below to this. Like always, it'll always be in the description box. It's the journaling platform that I use for all these videos, and just for myself, I've been using it for over a year now. So I'm going to go to custom to systems. So there's 2 options. I have all this other shit, A game, C game. I don't know if I can delete some of these, but that was me in the past. To system or not to system. So this was to system. This was like going back, reviewing it. This trade made sense. The chart looked fine. It fit my criteria. Great. I'm not pissed about that. I'm happy with that. And then setup was a bear flag. Okay. So I'm tracking 2 things right there. Okay. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the exact same thing on Microsoft's trades. So Microsoft, was this to system? You could make the argument that it wasn't. I'm going to say that it was. It was kind of borderline, but I'm going to say that it was. Bear flag. And then I'm going to go back and the same exact thing here on the other Microsoft. It just didn't work. As simple as that. It just didn't work. Could it have been a little bit cleaner? Could it have been a little bit cleaner of a bear flag? Yeah. But essentially on the bigger time frames, it was a bear flag too on the 30-minute chart. So that's what I'm going to log. Okay. Now, if I were to go over to my reports data. So for example, if I were to go now to reports, I keep it set to this month so we can kind of just look at what we got going on this month. What is this now telling us? Sorry, I'm covering some. Let me get myself out the way. Now I have played a total of 26 bear flags and 11 bull flags this month. Okay. And the exact definition of the flag depends on how you want to view it. I have a specific look and setup that I'm looking for. Maybe it's not the exact same as you. I'm just going to call it that for simplicity purposes, okay? what we see is that our bull flags, we've actually been green by $9, okay, but that's taking into account losses and wins. In our bear flags, we've lost $257, okay, trading bear flags this month. Not like it's like that big of a deal, but like, okay, that's telling us that those are just not working as well, okay? If I go to other, let's go to tags. I mean, where I tag these guys. Okay, the tags, I tag them to system or not to system. Now, when I review, this is going back over a lot. I took 13 trades not to system. This is me either having an impulse buy, FOMOing in, seeing something that's not really there, something along those lines upon review. So I reviewed 13. Now that's a lot. So that's a thing that I need to cut down on. I traded 36 to system. So what's telling me here is that, yes, this has been a red month so far. Probably going to be a red month. I'm assuming it's going to be a red month based on how things are going, unless we have some massive, change. Not to system, not surprisingly, right? We lost about $660. To system, we've only lost $161. So if I only traded stocks to the system, the strategy, despite the momentum not being there and not being great, I would barely be down this month, right? So it's just kind of framing myself to say, you know what? The system works because I had like 5 months prior to this that had green, 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 green. I haven't been tracking perfectly, but now I've kind of figured out how I want to track things. So now going forward, I'm going to be tracking every trade to system, not system, and then the setup, bear flag, bull flag. Essentially, that's what I'm playing across those. So you can even see at the bottom here that to system, our trades to system, once we open this up, okay? Here's our net P&L. Let me get myself back on the screen. Here is our net P&L, right, this month. Now, it was up, then it came down, but what do we got? We're kind of flatlining. So it's just telling us that it's just not working great. But when we trade to the system, we have a positive win-loss or average win-loss, which is fine. Our win rate's 44%, and we're barely red. We're literally one good trade away, one momentum trade away from being green on the month. Even though the month has been terrible based off of in terms of this strategy, this style. So that is kind of what I'm using or how I'm going to be using the TradeZella platform to understand a lot more of my data. You might look at this and go, oh, yeah, this guy fucking sucks. Like his strategy doesn't work. I'm encourage you to just let this play out for months because I could go back over the past couple months and track the same stuff I really wanted to, but it would just take me forever. So I'm going to kind of use it going forward and just track each trade as they come in to system, not system, and then the setup. But what you're seeing is that if I didn't have the FOMO, the impatience, the chasing, it kind of all funnels into the same things. If I didn't do that, and it added up over the course of this month, let's say, you have a bad day. You're like, fuck, you come back. Let me just try this. Let me try this. Yesterday was a good example. There was a trade on NVIDIA that was not to system at all. It was to the upside. And it was kind of like, well, no, if the market was to go up, because we're bouncing off lows here, we're kind of screwing the shorts. If it was to go up, well, I want to have a long here in case. Like, what the fuck am I doing? That's guessing, gambling. That's bullshit. Yeah. If it worked, maybe you make some money, but and if it didn't work, you'd be like, well, yeah, I thought that. But when you boil it back down, the win rate on those is so much lower. That only increases your chance for a bigger loss. I can't do that stuff. So the system's win rate right now, this month is 44%. If we were to go back to, or just look at the entirety of the month, let's see. Let me go back to the trade log. Back this baby up. Here it is. The entirety of everything is 33%. So average win-loss a little bit higher there, I think. But, that's the month. As we speak right now, that is the month of August so far. We'll see what we can do. And I will be, of course, making these videos pretty much every single day that I trade. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, this platform will always be linked up down below. I'm not trying to necessarily sell it to you. I use it. So if you want to use it too, great. It is kind of expensive, but when you're talking about trading size and trades of this magnitude, and you're talking about monthly P&Ls in the hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars, it doesn't really matter. A couple, $100 a year isn't a big deal, in my opinion. But I'll have a review video out shortly, if not already, on TradeZilla, my overall thoughts on it for using it the past year. But makes it super easy to track. At a minimum, it's awesome for these videos. So this is going to be a lot of fun to kind of track the system, track the strategy over time, track the performance and how I'm actually executing it. You can see that I'm not executing it properly, because if I was, I wouldn't be down $800 this month. If I was, I'd be down closer to maybe a couple hundred, maybe 150. So that's the deal. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.